Hello and welcome to a very special interview for MonsterVine.com. I'm your host, managing editor Spencer Legacy, and today I am joined by two industry veterans. You might know them from Big Huge Games. I'm here with John Hawkins, the lead designer on Arcane Showdown, and Tim Train, the CEO at Big Huge Games. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you.
Yeah, it's autumn here in Baltimore. The weather's perfect, and yeah, this is why we live in the Mid-Atlantic, at least for me.
I was just saying to John, it's great to talk to people on the on Eastern time. I'm in Toronto, so it's nice to have this kind of timing instead of super late or super early. So it's definitely pleasant.
Yeah. Or is that Pacific time, or is that Eastern time? Or?
Yeah. Oh God, I have like multiple clocks just to just to remember all the time zones I'm working in. But I'm sure you guys know that pain. But yeah, so we'll get started here. Just for a little introduction for people who might not know, could you tell me a little bit about Big Huge Games?
Sure. So this is Big Huge Games 2.0, the second incarnation of Big Huge Games. The original was founded in 2000, and the early cohort of people there included several people who are now working with us, including John Hawkins. I was co-founder for both this the previous studio and the new incarnation. The new incarnation kind of arose from the ashes of two other studios, the Zynga East studio that shut down when Zynga closed a lot of their external offices when they kind of had a little bump downturn a few years ago. And also Epic Studios had a studio in Baltimore. And so those shops both closed within 3 weeks of each other. And so we were able to grab a bunch of people who are on 3 month severance packages. I'm fond of saying that our angel round of investment came courtesy of the HR departments at Zynga and Epic. And we just started building the game that became Dominations. We knew we wanted to make strategy games for mobile. We were very excited for the kind of new platform that had emerged. And we were excited about new kinds of games that would be able to be played on those platforms. And then when Dominations was finished, we started to think about what was next for us. And we were still excited to build strategy games. This time we wanted to build a strategy game that you could play anywhere, whether it was PC or on your mobile device. And we started from the old Sid Meier adage of play game or make games that you want to play, and probably you'll find an audience for them. So that's kind of the history of the studio. And
wow,
I want to talk about anything how Arcane came to be out of that. Then go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, John. Can you tell me a little bit about Arcane Showdown for the people who might not know? It's your it's the game that you guys have been working on currently. So I'd love to hear a bit about it.
Yeah, so Arcane Showdown is an RTS game, real-time strategy game. We kind of tried to strip down and kind of make it more accessible for like modern players, because RTS in general kind of seen like less players, so we're trying to come up with ways to make it more accessible, faster pace, not as fidgety, but still have like all the things that you expect from a real-time strategy game. So you're still kind of building up your economy, you're unlocking more power and new troops you can put down. You don't have all the information at all times. You kind of got to like scout and see a little bit, and just kind of fighting over the control for the map. So we try to do that, take that, make an experience that works for both PC and mobile, and we created something that's pretty fun. It's got a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of different strategies. If you want to like rush the other player, you can do that. If you want to kind of turtle up, you can also defend against other people, and then you can also just like boom, build up your economy really big. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask, what's it like developing for both mobile and PC? Are there specific challenges that come with that?
It's actually been pretty seamless, to tell you the truth. I think most of the challenges these days, there's different resolutions, but you have those on both mobile and PC. So I think, especially with the way that we made the game, where you're not having to micromanage all your troops all the time, that's something that you can, makes it easier for people to do both on PC and mobile.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. And I wanted to ask for both of you, since you guys have such a long history in development, for each of you, we'll start with, say, Tim. What game are you most proud of and why?
I mean, you're always the most proud of your most recent game. You have to invest so much love and passion and time and effort. You're not really able to have perspective on anything else. I've been playing Arcane Showdown than any other game for the last year and a half at least. And you just really get consumed by it. It takes that kind of passion to get a game out the door. And so that's where I'm at right now. Talk to me in 6 months and maybe I'll have more perspective. But I really loved all the development on Arcane Showdown and how much fun it's been to actually bring this game to life.
Awesome. John, how about you?
I'll echo a bit of what Tim's saying. Definitely, this Arcane Showdown has been the most fun game to make and play of any that I've worked on. But if I'm gonna just to give a little bit of a different answer to, things I can we did the expansion pack for Age of Empires 3, the Asian Dynasties, and that was one of the rare times where we made a game and we actually had enough time and enough to plan it all out and do it, and we got everything done ahead of schedule, and that was rare. That I don't think that we've ever done that before, to tell you the truth. And I was just I was a big fan of the Age of Empires series, so getting to work in that series was a lot of fun. So that's probably the one I would look to next, is one I was most proud of.
Oh, great. And you mentioned that Arcane Showdown is also going to appeal a bit more to modern players and gamers. What was the thought process behind that decision, rather than making it like a more hardcore kind of tough to get into or easy to learn, hard to master kind of game? What made you want to appeal to modern players as well?
Well, it's just, I kind of talked a little bit about, but the market for RTS games hasn't really stayed steady. The old PC RTS games, I think StarCraft 2 has probably been the most recent one. But I think when we were starting in this game, we went back and played a lot of other titles, and we played a lot of titles that we made as well. And there's just a lot, it's a lot of time commitment. There's a lot of micromanagement to it. And you see it with a lot of these other genres, like MOBAs, for example, where people kind of want something quicker, something easier to play. So that's kind of how we approached it, was looking at okay, well, what if we took away the unit management part of the game? Could we still make something that had all that depth and approach that would appeal to a bigger audience? And it definitely, for me, I think we accomplished all those goals.
Yeah, for sure. And for each of you, what is your favorite part from a developer's perspective of Arcane Showdown through developing it?
I think for me, my favorite part is just figuring out what all the different strategies are, kind of putting together different sets of troops and spells, and seeing what works, which ones can I how can I most efficiently pull off this strategy, coming up with crazy ideas. And I have to lose quite a bit sometimes, but eventually I kind of hit upon if I just tweak it this way or that way, I get a win. And I think just having those play tests against the other developers and just kind of having those experiences is definitely the most fun.
So this may be a little bit of an academic discourse, but the thing that RTS games do that no other kind of game does is it puts tension on your bandwidth. Okay, and that means that at any given time in an RTS game, there may be 10 things that I could be doing, but I only have the bandwidth to do 3 of them. And if I get really good, maybe I can do 4 or 5. And if I'm a pro player, I can do 6, but I can never do all 10. And I don't think there's been a game, certainly not on mobile, which is my personal preferred platform for it, that captures that bandwidth tension of classic RTS games like Arcane Showdown does. And so that's the thing that I enjoy the most. It's frantic, it's fast paced. I have to make quick decisions as they evolve in real time. And so to me, it feels like a very unique kind of game, particularly on mobile. And so, yeah, that's my favorite part of the game.
Nice. And sort of off topic, but I wanted to see, how are you guys adjusting to working remotely? Has that been a smooth transition, or has share of difficulties? Has it affected your development of Arcane Showdown?
For me personally, it hasn't really been much of a problem. I feel like I can just kind of roll out of bed and go right to work. The main issue is really just creating that separation between your work life and your personal life. When your office is your living room, then everything kind of flows together, and then it's 10 o'clock, and you're like, wait, where did my day go? I didn't get a break. But
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest hardship for it has just been that I just really miss the people. We've built a really great team, and one of our core values is always been value team skills as much as technical skills. And the simple way of saying that is that these are just people that I delight in working with. We have a lot of fun together, and when you don't see those people, some of that camaraderie and that team dynamic, takes a backseat to just getting things done. So I'm looking forward to the end of quarantine and when we can get back to seeing people, and hopefully that will be in the not too distant future.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. John, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, so far as like working with people, I think in some ways it's made it easier because it's kind of it's easier to reach people because all you have to do is message them. Whereas at the office, maybe you'd have to go and look for them, or you might be like, well, next time I see them. But now you're like, oh, I can just directly message them. We have pretty regular meetings online. So I think from a work perspective, I don't know that it's really impacted much at all. In some ways, I think it's improved some things. The part that makes it more difficult for me is my wife works out of the house, and we have two children, are 5 and 10. So kind of like managing that along with working is definitely more difficult. But the plus side, sometimes when we're doing our play test, there's two more people who want to jump in. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't thought of that. That's fantastic. And do you two have any advice for aspiring developers with your perspective? I figure you might have a thing or two to pass on.
Yeah, like what I like to say is, for me, I kind of got into the industry by playing a lot of a game. It was Age of Empires 2. So I always like recommend people to just kind of soak up at least like one game, get to know it like really, really, really well, to the point where you understand all the mechanics, how it's working. You kind of start thinking about what you would do, like what you would add to it or change about it. And from there, you kind of have like a base for like, okay, how would I go and then go make my own game? And you can start pretty simply with just like making something on paper, like a board game or a card game. And you kind of get that immediate, like, you can tell immediately, is it fun or not? You can change things right away. From there, you can start, diving into, do I want to like look at like, taking courses or watching YouTube videos about like how to work in like a game engine like Unity or Unreal and start to build digital stuff if that's what you want to. But I would just try to, make your own games or at least mod other games, because like what I'm always looking at with people is like, what have they made? What can I look at? What can I see from them?
Yeah, it makes sense. Tim, how about you?
For me, I mean, one of the things that's kind of fun about the games industry is that it's probably the easiest of the entertainment industries to get into. Games as an industry is very much like movies or music or television, in terms of your output, that you're trying to create something that finds an audience, that delights people. But unlike those, for those you have to have some amount of luck. You maybe have to have some amazing talent or charisma or whatever goes into being a rock star or an actor or something like that. But in games, you really can just work your way into a position. And the way that you do that, to me, is just picking something and deciding to get good at it. And so, I talk to teenagers or young adults all the time who are interested in this, and it's just like, look, you can pretty much pick whatever you want to pick. If you want to pick engineering, if you want to pick art, if you want to pick, English or writing, you can make a career out of all of those, but you got to get really good at it. And so that's the main thing, is just pick a thing, get great, and make things. That's the other piece of it that I know John highlights at times too, is just making always be kind of trying to create things. Your ideas are fine. Like if you want to be a game designer and you're like, I have great ideas for games, fine, but it's all about whether you can execute on those ideas. Great ideas are table stakes for the position, but what really gets your foot in the door is, can you make something? And so those are my two things: pick a thing, get good at it, and always be making stuff.
Yeah, I'd say that makes complete sense, and it's a good way to motivate people as well. Because a lot of times it's easy to feel like, oh, there's so many people who want to do it, I don't have a chance from the get-go. So saying, hard work and perseverance does pay off is huge for a lot of people. So definitely agree there. And before we head out here, do you guys have anything you want to tell players about Arcane Showdown?
I would just say, give it a shot. I mean, we've had some feedback from people who are like, I don't typically play free-to-play games, or some people who don't play mobile games will say, I don't do that, but I tried this game and it's like so much fun. It's way better than I would have expected from a mobile or free-to-play game. So I think, if there's people out there who like real-time strategy games, give this one a look.
Nice.
And somewhat in the same vein, but we are coming out of a AAA background. Big Huge Games 1.0 made AAA games. We were very happy to be making AAA games. And then, this device called your mobile phone kind of appeared. And since then, we have been always working to make games that had AAA sensibilities, but that were on this new device and playable on this new device. And that's a thing that I think people should give some time to and see if it connects with them. And if it does, whether it's our game or some competitor's game, but if you find a game that does connect with you, reward those people with your eyeballs, potentially with your dollars. If you want to see more games like that on the platform of your choice, then that is the best way to ensure that happens.
Awesome. I'll include links to check out the game in the description, so anyone interested can check it out here. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join me today. It's been a very informative interview, so it's been a lot of fun.
Great. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate your time as well.
And thanks to everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys around.